Joining me is Sky News political editor, Andrew CLENNELL. Andrew CLENNELL, thank you so much for your time. The Prime Minister didn't get a single question about Scott Morrison at his press conference today, so he finished by raising the topic himself. It seems to me this whole discussion about Scott Morrison is running way out of steam. Labor looks increasingly hysterical about it and, playing for time, like doesn't want to talk about anything else. The question is, when will it get back to work?
Well, I don't know. I think you're a bit harsh, Andrew. I mean, you sound a bit like Peter Dutton there. But I do agree they have to focus on the job at hand. And they've done enough damage to the coalition and Scott Morrison in terms of this. I heard your editorial the other night. I thought it was excellent because it pointed out how crazy the whole setup was with Morrison. But the electorate's already rejected Morrison. So it's important these facts came to light. Inquiries should do what they do. But we don't need comment from the PM on it every single day for the next 2 or 3 weeks, that's for sure.
Well, thank you for the saying that I sound like Peter Dutton. It is actually what I think. I've had my say on Scott Morrison for a couple of days. I've been very, very strong. But
Indeed.
The point is, what he did hurt nobody. Hurt nobody. And I think it was wrong, but it hurt nobody. And I want to know about today where people are really hurting, which is on the economy. The jobs figures, for instance. We had Tony Burke sounding like a commentator. What are they actually going to do about wages, about inflation? We have seen nothing yet, just promises of talk fests.
Well, I think we've spoken about this before. When you're holding a summit, you start to wonder if the government has a plan. I will say the UK has inflation of 10%. Came out the other night. And wow, imagine if we get to that here. There's no signs of that so far. It suggests it'll be at 7. We wouldn't want it to get much higher. It's a strange system we have. The Reserve Bank is the only one who can do something meaningful about that, and they're doing it. So you end up copying it at both ends, don't you? They're trying to take steam out of the economy, but not only are my gas bills going up, I keep getting these letters from the bank saying my mortgage payments are as well. And I'm probably with a lot of Australians in that boat. But you're right, something meaningful needs to come out of this summit. Let's give them a chance. If it is just a talk fest and they have no solutions, well, they're going to feel the heat of government.
Yeah, but I don't know. What were they doing for 9 years in opposition? They're sitting there already for 3 months. When Bob Hawke came in to office, he already had a plan. He wanted this wages accord that he then called the summit, got it endorsed, and away they went. Prices and income accord. I mean, I haven't seen anything like that from the government. Absolutely no agenda. Instead, today, the press conference of ALBANESE, obsessing at long length about this Aboriginal-only parliament called The Voice that he wants to put in instead. I just wonder whether Labor's risking looking like a party obsessed by symbolism while Australians are meanwhile getting poorer.
Well, they got 2 tests. One's the summit and one's the budget. And I'll judge them after that, Andrew. But let's face it, they didn't come with a big agenda because they tried a big agenda last time and they got whacked. So they're a bit gun shy now. They've come with this childcare reform, but that doesn't come until next year. And maybe that'll put the heat on inflation anyway as well. No one in government's had the appetite for tax reform or industrial relations reform. I noticed John Howard in his new book suggests that's something a Dutton opposition should take up for the next election. And the other thing that concerns me is after the Jobs and Skills Summit, they're talking about a white paper which will take 12 months. Well, don't we need action now? Businesses don't have enough employees. Migration is one way that they need a push in terms of migration, but we also need to skill Australians as well. So, yeah, they've got their work cut out. That budget and the Jobs and Skills Summit, they'll be critical moments. And if they don't come up with some solutions and more of an agenda then, they'll probably feel it politically in about 9 months' time, I'd say. Australians will give a government a go for 6 months to a year. And then if you haven't taken action, well, when you start making mistakes, that's when you're going to suffer politically, and all governments make mistakes. And Scott Morrison's one who can attest to that because that's exactly what happened to him. He came in with no agenda. Well, his mistakes became the story.
Look, it wasn't just that. That's exactly correct, that you create a vacuum and then the bad news comes in there. But also, He didn't have an agenda going into the election, as John Howard has written in his book.
Yes,
and
he
I'm
did.
just wondering, the warning signs for me are that this Labor government is there as well. It's got so much to say about the voice, but how about something that affects the ability of Australians to put food on the table now? That's an urgent message now, and I'm not hearing it. Andrew CLENNELL, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Andrew.